if you have a look at Domino's or all these pizza chains, right? The toppings
Hmm.
don't really cost that much, but it kind of changes the taste of the pizza. And suddenly the whole regular margarita pizza, or the cheese pizza, is much cheaper than a pizza with, say, a bunch of capsicum and a bunch of vegetables on it, even though those things probably costed like 10 cents.
Hmm. Right. Would you ever get into the restaurant business?
Not particularly, for two reasons. One, I don't know shit about the restaurant business. Secondly, from at least from the experiences I've seen my clients have, it
Hmm.
seems like a very high competition industry where you would say that let's say you think your food is very good and separate from other people, but most people buying food from restaurants, they kind of think of all restaurants as restaurants, and the amount of competition and price sensitivity is very high, and there are a lot of overheads. There's a lot of rent to pay. You have to pay cooks. You have to make sure everything is clean, hygienic. It's just too much work for making 15% gross margin. It just isn't worth it. Net margin
Right.
or what have you.
Hmm. And the traditional restaurant fails within the first 2 years.
That's not exactly a problem with the restaurant industry. It's kind of because every moron comes up with this idea that he should start a restaurant.
Hmm.
In the
My
sense,
restaurant is different. I guarantee you that. That's what they all think.
yeah, but they don't really know how to do business. In the sense that there's a new restaurant which kind of opened near my house, and I went there with a girl, and the guy didn't have water in his restaurant. So if you wanted water, you had to go outside, cross the street, then go to a grocery shop, then buy water, and then come back to this guy's restaurant. The guy is like, we just don't serve water here. What kind of dumbass moron runs a restaurant and not serve water? Like, what the hell?
That's the dumbest thing I've heard.
And a lot of new restaurants, they are shit like this, where they just don't understand how business works. Like, these are just kids or idiots who one day thought, I should start a business, and they started a restaurant. And total respect to you guys for taking action, but you have to have some amount of knowledge with how you should handle a customer. You Let's say you order a burger, the burger costs $10, let's say, or let's say 1,000 Indian rupees, and you give me a bag and a pack of ketchup, those small ketchup sachets, and
Hmm.
you're gonna charge me one extra rupee for the ketchup packet. Come on, man! I just paid you 1,000 rupees for a burger. You're gonna charge me 1 rupee for a ketchup packet? Kind of dumbass businessman
Put it
are
on the
you?
house. Yeah.
It's 1 rupee. It's like half a cent.
Hmm.
So just by being annoying, you kind of made me feel negative about this transaction with you. You get me? I'm going to remember that, and more, maybe I'm less likely to come to your store anymore.
Absolutely, man. I mean, if you're going to start a restaurant business, I actually recommend that you work in a restaurant first, where there should be common sense. Where if you're trying to start this organization, understand the processes by working in one, see how the owner gets the products, how they forecast which products to get, how they price it. And once you have done that for at least 3 to 5 years, then you could even think about starting a restaurant. Maybe you don't even need to start a restaurant then. Maybe you could work your way up in the restaurant you're already in. But if you decide to start a restaurant, know that this is not a side hustle type of business. This is a career. And if you don't take it like a career, you will fail within the first 2 years if you even make it that far. Because this is a very competitive business, bro, where restaurant owners understand that human beings, they're going to eat 3 times in the day for the most part. And their job is all the same. Let us, our organization, be a part of one of those 3 meals. So if all these people have the same exact incentive, how do you, as the upcoming restaurant owner, stick out? And many people don't think like that. They think, oh, well, I mean, I think my restaurant idea is going to succeed. And then they just start one and then they fail. And it's the small things too, man, because when you go to restaurants and you work in one, you'll notice the thing that you just mentioned, the whole thing with the ketchup. From the businessman's perspective, it makes sense. It's like a ketchup, it costs a rupee, it costs a rupee. But from the consumer's perspective, you realize that it just annoyed you a little bit. And that entire transaction is now compromised because you got annoyed a little bit. So you need to understand both sides of the spectrum the business side, the consumer side, and even the employee side, where you work in the restaurant before you even think about starting a restaurant business. And even then, bro, my question is, why the hell do you want to start a restaurant business? From all the different
Exactly.
opportunities out there, why that particular business model?
There used to be a restaurant I used to go to because
Hmm.
it would have really, really good fish. He used to make this thing called samak fish. I don't know if you've ever had samak fish, but it used to be really good.
Hmm.
And the chef kind of became a friend with us. So he knew our order, he knew what we wanted, and he would personally come and give us attention. And we would go there twice a week and we would order like 5 dishes, which the chef would always be highly surprised that we were eating 5 dishes as 2 people. And both of us were dudes in the sense we were coming here after a workout. So the first time we went there, we ordered like one dish and then he ordered a dish. Then we ordered another dish, two of us, and then we ordered one more thing. And the guy's like, "How much can you guys eat?" And because he was doing it so often, he kind of learned our order and figured out, okay, these guys really want butter. They really, really hate oil and things like that. And even that restaurant shut down. So this seems like a very crazy industry. I mean, the guy was giving us such professional service, making
Hmm.
exactly what we wanted, giving us so much attention, and we were showing up regularly, and it still shut down.
Wow. I mean, it just goes to show you, man. I mean, you could even do everything right, but that doesn't guarantee success.
Yeah, man, I really miss that samak fish. Yeah,
What's it called? Stomach fish?
it's called samak fish.
Is it bone in or boneless fish?
No, the actual fish is called ravas, and the spice that's used to cook it is called samak.
Got it. Do you still eat fish?
Occasionally, man, but I really like that particular dish. It's just sad that it's closed now.
Mm.
I tried looking for that guy, but unfortunately, I never took his number. I just went out of the city for some time, came back, it was closed.
Wow. So it closed pretty quickly too.
Yeah, I think the
Oh,
guy's rent just expired.
you know, one thing I've been noticing, a lot of restaurants, um, it's taking away the dine-in portion where you could sit down and eat, and they're converting themselves into food trucks. So there's this really big place here called Curry Leaves, very famous Indian restaurant. A lot of people go there. And recently I went to go inside with someone, and they're like, "Oh, we closed that portion off. You could just go to the food truck part now." It's like, "What? Why would you guys do something like that?" And I'm cool with the owner. And he was telling me, he's like, "Bro, we save so much in rent because now we don't have to clean up the indoor area. We don't even have to rent that area. We just make the food and serve it through the food truck, and that's it. We save so much money and make a lot more money because now it's an express style." So I could see more restaurants doing that in the future because just owning the land in itself is difficult. But when you own the land, you also have to pay people to clean it, like the bus boys and all of that stuff. But if you remove that and you just get the food truck portion, now you don't have to have all those other expenses with the land and the cleaning. So I've been noticing 3 to 5 restaurants as of late doing that, getting a food truck instead.
Do you guys have something called cloud kitchens?
Cloud kitchens, no. Oh, I don't even know what that is.
So, what restaurants are doing here is a bit similar to what you're talking about, but a bit different. Getting a food truck in India is actually very complex. It kind of has a bunch of laws about what you can do in a truck, etc., etc. Because the country really does not want people starting fires at random places. So, what restaurants do here is they close down their dining area. They find some super cheap place on the fifth floor for some old building and rent it. And they make a kitchen there and it operates via delivery. So you can't eat at the place. All you can do is order from an app and the guy is going to deliver food to your house. That's literally it. It's a kitchen
Hmm.
and you can order food from there.
That's like Uber Eats.
It's like it's not exactly Uber Eats because Uber Eats is a company which just has a delivery service.
Right.
These guys would be clients of Uber Eats, yes.
Right. Right. Okay. That's what more people should do, because a lot of folks nowadays, unfortunately, don't actually sit down in the restaurant. And if you're not making that much money and you're already a failing restaurant, that may be a good idea. Do a cloud kitchen or switch to a food truck model.
I don't know, man. My honest advice is that if you are in a failing restaurant, just take it behind the barn, shoot it, and do something else.
Yeah.
Do
And you're
something with
working a
better
lot.
margins.
You can't scale it. I mean, I don't get why anyone our age at least would start a restaurant business.
I've learned one thing from business is that the most important thing isn't exactly hard work. It's about what business you are in. For example, if you take the SaaS company, right? The SaaS company is a very good business because the cost is very low. It's software, and you charge a fixed price every month. So let's say you pay us $50 this month, then another month, then another month, then another month. We don't have to keep looking for customers because when we find one customer, he pays us for a long time. As opposed to take something like LMM. LMM is not a business, but if it was, well, we have to if you take the life math money thing where there are ebooks, courses, etc. You have to keep looking for people to buy it, right? You have to promote it, get more people interested, and when they buy it, they only pay once, and then no one's gonna buy the same ebook twice, is it?
Right. They won't.
And then there are, but still the profit margins are very high because ebooks are, a cost free product to sell. If you take something like consulting actually takes time to do. If someone comes to you, you got to give them some of your time, and the margins are lower. It's still pretty high because it's not a physical product being sold, but the margins are lower than ebooks. Then you have these physical products like restaurants, etc., etc., where the margins are even lower. The point is that the most important thing that determines how much you make is which business you are in and not how hard you work. Because you could say, run a restaurant and work really, really hard and make very little money. And you
Hmm.
could be a SaaS company owner and not work nearly as hard and make much, much more money.
Way more money.
Yeah. So it's kind of a lesson that contradicts a lot of, what I was taught as a kid, where hard work is the most important thing. And of course, it is a very important thing. But in business, the most important thing is the business you are in.
Right. Because once you are in the right business model, then you want to work hard. But if you're working
Mhm.
hard on a dud, that's not smart. Where Naval broke down what you just said very well as too in one of these videos, where he talked about your business needs a couple of things. You need leverage, and there's different kinds of leverage. The two types of leverage are permissioned and permissionless. Permissioned is when some sort of permission is given, whether people are working for you, they have to give you the permission to command them, or you're taking investor money. You have to ask for their permission to get the money. Permissionless is what you're in and what I'm in. You're in code, I'm in like books and all that stuff. No one has to tell us to create this stuff. We can just use our own desire and create this sort of stuff. And what happens is that we don't have to pay extra money for replication. So permissionless leverage is awesome. And it's cool if you could combine the two. If you could have some workers, maybe take some money from investors, whatever, but you have code and you have media on your side, that will always help you out. But if you have no code or no media, I mean, I'm going to be somewhat skeptical of your business and its ability to scale. Something that's
I
underrated. Yeah.
I 100% agree with whatever you said. It's a total fact. You need to have leverage. If you don't have leverage, you are fucked because then you have to work one on one. If you take consulting, right? Consulting as a business does not have leverage. You kind of have a client who comes in, either you or your team, or do you guys do some service for him, and then he goes away. But at one point of time, you can only do one thing. You can't do 50 things at a time. It's just not possible. There
Yeah.
is no leverage,
Consulting,
and
con-
you can't scale
consult.
the business.
Yeah. Consulting is like being a doctor or being a lawyer. It's like you're trading your time in for money.
Yeah, it's like a job in disguise in many ways.
Yeah, I mean, the only benefit I see to consulting is that it really helps you understand your market. I mean, you don't really need to do market research too much if you have a solid consulting practice, but I do not think that should be your own only business out there. If it's a part of your empire, that's whatever. But if that is your empire, fam, you're in trouble. Because what happens if you get sick? How are you going to consult someone then? I guess you could talk, but what if you lose your voice? You got to ask questions like that to see how battle tested your business really is. Because if you get injured or whatever, you're still getting money from all the people that are still paying you for using your code. So your business is very anti-fragile.
Now that you mentioned sickness, it reminds me of a very good and very recent example. A web designer I work with very frequently, he seems to have gotten some serious disease and kind of can't work anymore. Like his work, in the sense, I gave him a project. It's been over a month and a half, and he hasn't delivered it to me yet. He's like, I'm very sick. And the guy is very good at what he does, insanely good at what he does. But he can't work anymore for at least some time because he needs to get some surgery or something like that. And yeah, the guy is basically making no money now because he can't work. Even though
Mm,
he's highly skilled, just because he felt sick, he can't work anymore. And now he is losing money. So yeah, man, this type of stuff, it isn't really a business. It's a business. You could loosely use the term business for it, but it's really like freelancing in a way.
that's exactly what it is.